Hey you guys, it's your girl T and I'm back with another recap of the Real Housewives of Atlanta. I know I'm a week late, but it's cool because they showed the Oscars on Sunday, so you really haven't missed anything. So now, back to the recap. So the opening scene, we have Nene and Greg, and they're sitting at the kitchen and they're talking about the whole aftermath with what happened at Kenya's faux charity event. Nene's still pissed off and she's calling Peter all types of bitches and saying that he shouldn't have been involved in Kenya's file for, you know, basically pressuring her to even come. And Greg is basically being her lapdog, being her driving Miss Nene and agreeing with everything she says. He's not calling her out for her disrespectful speech. He's not, you know, he can see no wrong, no fault in Nene whatsoever. Then, out of the blue, he decides to take a sip out of a toilet bowl cup. And when I seen that, I almost threw up. I'm like, I don't know if he's vicariously trying to, I don't know if he's trying to let the audience know that he feels like his life is going down the toilet, because he's just simply falling off. He's been more than a yes man on Nene's team. I don't even look at him as her husband anymore. Nene wears the pants in that relationship, and Nene runs that relationship with the iron fist. Greg is just there, just basically to collect a check. Moving on to the next scene. So in the next scene, we have Cynthia and angry face Mal. They're sitting on the porch and they're talking about the whole event that happened the night before and how, you know, Cynthia is kind of upset. She says she texts Nene, but she hasn't heard anything back. And she wants Nene and Greg to come to Peter's surprise birthday party that's happening later on that night. And Mal is like, you know, you just have to give her some time. You know, who knows what she's going through right now. And Cynthia is also saying that she's upset with Peter, and her and Peter aren't talking. They had got into it after the event because she felt like Peter shouldn't have got involved. Peter shouldn't have said anything, that it should have been between her and Nene. And I think it's wrong for her to be mad at Peter because Cynthia is so passive aggressive that she wouldn't have said anything to Nene, and somebody did need to put Nene in her place. And I'm glad, even though Peter can be kind of messy and can be involved in their business, I'm glad that Peter did put Nene in her place, because Nene was all the way out of pocket for how she behaved at the charity event. And y'all know damn well Cynthia wouldn't have said shit if it was left up to Cynthia. Moving on to the next scene. So in the next scene, we have Kenya and Marlo, and they've just become thick as thieves. So they're going out to eat, and Kenya's telling everything. And Kenya's sitting there telling Marlo everything that happened at the event, about how Nene model walked up there and she was disrespectful and she gave that horrible speech, and you know, her face was all twisted and she looked like Zoolander. And Marlo starts laughing and she's like, you know, quit talking about my friend. And they're just being real messy. You can tell like Marlo is really looking to hold a peach next season. It's like she wants to be a Real Housewife so bad, and if she can get in by playing Kenya, that's what she's gonna do. So their relationship just seems really, really forced. It's like they're saying that they're friends and everything like that, but it's like you don't go from not knowing each other 2 scenes ago to now y'all are best friends and you're sharing everything in life with Marlo. Moving on to the next scene. So in the next scene, we have Cynthia, and she's planning Peter's surprise birthday party. It's supposed to be a Jamaican, Caribbean calypso party. And so she's hired, you know, she's pulling no punches. She's hired these singers and dancers and everybody to come out. So the band comes to set up, and she's shocked because the band is all white. Because, of course, white people don't know how to play calypso music. And, of course, because all Jamaicans have dreadlocks and they're full black. There are no white people in Jamaica whatsoever. It's like, Cynthia, you are beautiful. You are gorgeous. But sometimes you come off a tad bit ditzy for no damn reason. But I will say this, I loved her fake afro. I thought it was gorgeous. And I would love to have a sewing like that to protect my hair. So I'm definitely going to look into getting some hair like that, so that way I can wear a big old Cynthia Bailey afro. Moving on to the next scene. So in the next scene, it's time for the party. Peter claims that he's not coming. He doesn't know if he's going to make it. And Cynthia's trying to get him to come. It's a surprise party. He knows nothing about it. He says he's tired. So now Cynthia's walking on eggshells because she doesn't know if Peter's going to show up. But this is reality TV, and we all know damn well Peter is not going to miss any camera time, and he's not going to miss a free meal. So Peter ends up showing up right around the same time that Candy's coming up. So he knows that there's something going on, and he walks up there and everybody surprises Peter. And everybody's up there, and so Porsha's there with her sister, Candy's there with Todd, and then in walks in Kenlo, aka Kenya and Marlo, who are now best friends joined at the hip. Kenya is dressed like solid gold soul. She has on this tight ass gold dress. Her ass looks like it. She looks like she smuggled 2 disco balls in her dress because her ass is like kapow. And Marlo's dressing like this really sexy, high-waisted Caribbean outfit, and I loved it. I thought Marlo looked beautiful. She has a really nice shape, but unfortunately for her, her damn nipples kept popping out her top. And Candy kept having to remind her to tuck her areolas back in her shirt. So that whole scene was funny as hell. So then what was so crazy is that Peter comes walking up and he's like, oh, hell no. When did this happen? When did y'all two become best friends? You know, and they're showing Peter love. And Peter, and then Todd goes up to Peter and says, you know, well, Peter, how old are you now? You look so good for your age. And Peter announces that he's 53 years old. And I cannot lie, Uncle Ben's looked fierce. I loved his black sunglasses. He looked real clean. And Peter does look really good for his age. I will give him that. Black does not crack whatsoever. So finally, Nene ends up walking in there with Greg, and she goes up to Peter, and so they can start talking. And, you know, basically Peter's trying to make amends and apologize to her, but Nene's still acting funny. She's acting like it's hard for her to say, you know, happy birthday to him, and she still has an attitude. And Peter's like, you know what, life is too short. We need to get over it. It's not that serious. And Nene still feels some type of way. Peter's asking her for a hug, and she really doesn't want to hug him. And it's like, bitch, why did you even come? It's like, here she comes with all this negativity and everything else. So she comes and she sees Kenya and Marlo, and she's looking like, okay, so now they're cool. So you can automatically tell that Nene's feeling some type of way because Kenya and Marlo are sitting there chopping up. So Kenya gets up and she says that she wants to talk to Nene privately. She doesn't want to make a big old scene in front of everybody else. So they start talking, and Nene tells her that, you know, she was upset about how everything went down and that Kenya had no business inviting her without talking to her first. And Kenya was saying that she did it as a good gesture. She didn't think it was going to be a big deal. And they're just going back and forth talking, and they end up kissing and making up, but it's fake as fuck. You can tell that Nene does not want to have anything to do with Kenya. So Kenya walks out to go get them some drinks, and then when she comes back, Nene's looking for a spot to sit, and instead of her sitting next to Marlo, her friend, she then decides to sit next to Candy. And Candy is shocked. Candy had jokes all through this episode. Candy's like, how the hell is Nene gonna sit next to me, but you're not gonna sit next to Marlo, and that's your homegirl and your bridesmaid? And we all know Candy and Nene don't really get along like that. So Candy's, you know, talking shit in the confessional, and she's just had me cracking up through the whole scene. So Marlo's like, really? You just gonna sit by Candy? Why are you sitting next to Candy? Why aren't you sitting next to me? And Nene's like, you know what? I'm good. I'm just trying to eat my food. So then Kenya comes back with the drinks, and she sits next to Marlo, and they're just laughing and clowning and having a good time, and they're eating. And you can just see Nene's face. It's like if she was a bull, steam would be coming out her ears. It's like she's pissed off. She's seeing how Marlo and Kenya are interacting with each other, and you can tell she's feeling some type of way. So then all of a sudden she announces that she has to go. She has to get up out of there. She don't have time for this shit. And Nene ends up leaving, and Greg ends up following behind her like a little lap dog. Moving on to the next scene. So in the next scene, Nene decides to play Porsha a visit because Porsha lives in her same community. So she goes over there to go talk to Porsha, and they're talking about how Porsha was casted in Candy's play. And Portia's really excited. She hasn't done too much acting, so she's nervous, and she wants to ask Nene for advice. So Nene's talking all this shit and throwing all this shade and, you know, telling Porsha everything that she needs to do. But she's talking with this arrogance. She's talking like she's Angela Bassett, or like she's Halle Berry, or like she's won an Oscar and she's been nominated for all types of shit. And it's like, why are you acting like you're just some seasoned actor with all these movies under your belt? Nene, I'm gonna need you to hold on to that peach really tight, because Real Housewives of Atlanta is probably the last job that you'll ever have. Her attitude is just disgusting, and her arrogance is just out this damn world. Moving on to the next scene. So in the next scene, we have Kenya, aka Bootleg Sheree. She ends up inviting her new other best friend, Lawrence, over to her house, and she goes on talking to Lawrence about how she's planning a trip to Mexico, and she wants him to come, and she wants the ladies to come, and she wants everybody to have fun. And Lawrence is like, you know, are you sure? Do you think Apollo's gonna show up? You think Favor's gonna show up? And Kenya's like, I think they will. You know, I'm just gonna talk to everybody. And so Lawrence is like, well, why are you bringing me? Why aren't you bringing your African prince? And she claims that she doesn't want to, you know, bring her African prince on TV. She doesn't want to mess up what they have. So Lawrence agrees to be her date to Mexico when they decide to go in a few weeks. Moving on to the next scene. So finally, it's the big day. It's the day of the Bailey Bowl, and everybody's getting ready. You have Cynthia's team there. Her team is Team I Have No Storyline, so I'm just going to fake it till I make it. You also have Porsha's team there. They're Team Naked. I don't know why she's Team Naked, because half them people on her team need to keep their damn clothes on. The next team is Kenya's team, and they're Team Twirl, and it's a bunch of men, and they're all twirling in a circle looking crazy as hell. And then we have Nene's team, and their team is called Team I'm Rich, which needs to be called Team I Hope I'm Still Rich after the Real Housewives of Atlanta airs, because I may not have a job next season. Nene is just doing too damn much, but her and her Team Rich and her bridesmaids and her groomsmen, they're all there. Everybody's there but Marlo. Nene refuses to invite Marlo to be part of her team. Then Kandi comes in and it's all this fanfare. She has cheerleaders and they're coming off of this truck and it's Todd and it's about 15 people with Kandi. She has people that used to play in the NBA, WNBA, and the Olympics. It's like Kandi is doing the most. She is planning on winning and she's not going to hold any punches. She's planning on taking this home. And what was so funny is that you have Funky Dineva and Derek J. They were the referees for the event. So it's really interesting to see them refereeing the event as well. So moving on to the next scene. So now they're all outside and they're getting ready to, run with hula hoops and everything else. And Marlo decides to go up and go talk to Lexi. Now, if you guys remember, Lexi's also one of Nene's friends. She was one of Nene's bridesmaids. And Marlo tells Lexi that she's very hurt that Nene did not invite her to be with the original team. And then Kenya walks up like, what's going on? What's wrong? And Marlo's telling Kenya everything that she just told Lexi. And Kenya's like, it's all good. You're part of Team Troll. It don't even matter. So then as they're walking out, they see Nene and they go racing over to Nene like two little schoolgirls and they go touching Nene. And Nene just, flicks her arm and she's like, fuck that, get off me, fuck y'all bitches. And she just starts going off on them. So, Marlo's like, what's going on? Why, what's wrong with her? And then Kenya's just sitting there shocked as well. And so they go back over, they go talk to Nene. And Nene's like, get the fuck away from me. And she starts throwing her water bottle at Marlo. That sets Marlo to the moon. Marlo starts going off on her and telling her that, she needs to take that Donald Trump wig off and cussing her out. And, everybody's chasing Marlo. Marlo's chasing Nene. Everybody's chasing her. And she's telling folks, y'all better get the fuck up off me for y'all catch this fade. So she's like, Nene, tell the whole Atlanta why you mad at me. Tell everybody why you mad. You insecure. You're mad that I'm cool with Kenya now. Now you don't want to be my friend. This is some bullshit. So Marlo's upset and she's screaming and she's carrying on. And Nene's walking off with Gregg the lapdog and her little crew and her entourage. And Marlo's just going off. She's cussing Nene out, putting Nene in her place. And what I find funny is that Nene talked all this shit about NayNay, and you don't want to see NayNay, and she left NayNay in the car, and NayNay's about that life. But when Marlo got up in her face, I'm like, well damn, where the fuck is NayNay? All I see is Nene. That's what I noticed about Nene. She knows who she can fuck with and who she can't. Marlo's about that life. That bitch got 7 mugshots, and she will and can cut your ass. So Nene knows not to step to Marlo. Marlo done been to jail, and Marlo's not scared to fight. Kenya ain't about to bust a grape. Kenya just likes to talk shit, but she's not gonna do nothing. That's why Nene continuously goes off on Kenya. That's why she continuously goes off on Porsha. She likes to go off on the weak ones. She tried to go off on Kandi, and Kandi went off on her ass. And you notice her and Kandi ain't had no beef since season 1. Kandi put Nene in her place, and they ain't had no issues since. And Marlo's the same way. So now, it's just funny that Nene's feeling some type of way about their relationship when she herself is not a good friend to anybody. So after Nene walks off with Gregg, they get up in their car and they drive off. Then Marlo comes back and she's crying and she's in tears and she's like, I just don't understand. She's like a big sister to me. I just don't get it. And she's just crying and it just comes off as so fake. The award for the fakest cry on a reality TV show series goes to Marlo Hampton. Because that cry was fake as fuck. Girl, stop. Stop trying to play it up for the cameras. We understand you want to peach next season. We understand that you're trying to use Kenya to get to where you want to go. I understand that. But all that crying and carrying on, it is not that damn serious. So anyways, this was my recap for this episode of The Real Housewives of Atlanta. Let me know your thoughts on the entire episode. How do you feel about the whole situation that went down with Nene and Marlo? Do you think that Nene's insecure and jealous? Or do you feel like Marlo's doing the most right along with Kenya? So let me know your thoughts. All right. Deuces.